Welcome everyone as you're joining.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Hall, and I've taken on a great responsibility today to be your moderator for an innovative panel brought to you by Fifth Third. Today, we will be discussing the state of Black female-owned small businesses. Fifth Third, by sponsoring AEO and LIST, decided now is a great time to have a discussion about the plight of Black-owned female businesses. And prior to launching into our presentation, I want to just do a brief introduction of our panelists. Today, joining us from Fifth Third will be Bina Elliott. She is the Chief Enterprise Responsibility Officer at AEO, at Fifth Third Bank. At AEO, we have Connie Evans. She is the President and Chief Executive Officer of AEO. Also joining us, we have a African-American-led, woman-led VC startup fund called the Fearless Fund, and one of their founding partners, Erin Simone, will be joining us as well. And most of you already probably know her because she's the most impeccably dressed person on the panel, Kim Blackwell, CEO of PMM Agency. So today I hope we have a little fun, but more importantly, I hope you have a wide degree of questions and opportunities that you are thinking about for your business, and how Fifth Third and their partners can help you in your plight to grow, expand, or even sell your business if that's what you're looking to do. So I'll jump right in the panel. If you have questions, please send them to the moderator. Our moderator is AEO Innovation. They do a great job of letting us know what's going on. And let's go to the presentation. Hyacinth, did you want to put the presentation? Great. I started having technical difficulties, excuse me, but so Black-owned women business startups, a report by the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City. Black-owned businesses have a difficulty accessing credit and face capital constraints, according to the Federal Reserve System in a 2016 Small Business Credit Survey. For the small business owners out there on this particular call, you know that problem all too well. Today, not only do we want to talk about the trends and the data supporting this, but opportunities to make a difference. So, American Express, they did a State of Women-Owned Business report in 2019. Similar findings, that Black female-led businesses were growing in comparison to the total population. The unfortunate thing is the revenue isn't in pace with the rest of the population. So let's go to the next slide. So half of women-owned businesses are concentrated in 3 industries. You may be from those industries on this call. We have people who are in professional or personal services, healthcare and social assistance, and then technical services to include things like accounting and things of that nature. These are all great industries to be in, but not to be discounted by some of the emerging trends of other areas in the market where African-American-led women business owners can be successful. In a tapestry of Black business AEO report in 2016, Black-owned business, African-American or Black-owned business owners make up 59% of all Black firms, and 97% of Black women-owned businesses are sole proprietors. So there's still an opportunity to grow those organizations, and hopefully today's conversation will be a part of that change. Next slide. So with that, I want to ask a question to one of our panelists. And this question is for Connie. Connie, why is there such a large disparity in revenue between all women-owned business and Black-owned women-owned businesses? Can you share some strategies AEO has been implementing to close this gap?
Well, Steve, let me first say it's a pleasure to be here with these amazing Black women leaders and entrepreneurs and yourself. So thank you for having me. This is a wonderful opportunity. I wish I could tell you that there was one reason that is the cause for this phenomenon that we see in terms of the disparity in revenue for Black-owned businesses. That's not the case. In fact, there are a number of complex variables and factors that have put us in this quandary, in this position. Let me talk about the three buckets that we found in the AEO research that helps to explain some of this disparity. First, there is the wealth gap. We know that Black women business owners come to their business with less starting wealth. They don't have the savings, they don't have the friends and family network that has wealth that can invest in helping them get started, or be able to put equity in their businesses as those businesses continue to try to grow. And so we know that that's one of the challenges. A second challenge that helps to explain this disparity is the credit and capital gap. I know every woman on this call, every person on this call recognizes that we do have a serious problem in accessing capital and credit if you are female and if you are Black in this country. There are lots of reasons for that. Some of it has to do with poor credit. Women often have less personal credit problems and therefore don't qualify. The wealth gap means they don't have the collateral to qualify. And even when access is available, oftentimes the right product is not available. You can't get an equity product. They can't get a line of credit. So there's a mismatch in what's even available for women who are able to access capital. And then the third barrier that I would mention for this problem is the trust gap. We know historically and systemically, there is a trust gap that exists between Black business owners and all types of institutions. Again, some of that is historical discrimination. Some of it is, of course, current and present bias. But each of these are real serious challenges. But when these three things are interlinked, they really act like kryptonite in keeping Black businesses from reaching their potential. So those are the complexities of why we're in this situation. What AEO is doing, I'll also talk about that in three different buckets. One is we continue to do research, and we use that research to inform not only our policy work, but also to inform the development of new solutions. It is so important that as we think about how to address these challenges faced by Black women business owners, that we use real data from the women themselves, so that we are making sure that the solutions are culturally appropriate, are gender appropriate. And so whether we're talking about working with our partners like Fifth Third and other partners you'll hear about later in this broadcast, we bring those partners to help us generate solutions, innovate solutions, so that women are able to get the kind of capital they need by creating new kinds of products, or just fixing the pipes that are broken in our financial and capital system. We also use that data, as I mentioned, to inform policy. We have to have more influence in directing the policies that come from the federal government to support Black-owned businesses. And then lastly, again, thinking about AEO has over 1,700 member organizations across the country who provide capital and business support services. We work with those members on the ground to try to get new solutions and to them that they can help provide to women business owners. And we bring in a variety of corporate Main Street partners who also work with us to change their thinking, to do better product development and create solutions for Black-owned businesses.
Connie, I love what you just shared about the wealth, the credit, and the trust. And I think everybody on this call today is looking for, who can I trust? How can they help me, leverage the AEO is doing, doing the research, creating policy, and really bringing that network of mission-based lenders based on support of great organizations like Fifth Third to move their businesses along. That's great. I think, but when you start talking about that wealth, I have to transition to Arian because this is important. But Arian, the leading minority groups starting businesses are African-American women, and we just discussed that. However, lack of access to capital continues to be a significant barrier for Black-owned women businesses. According to a 2018 Project Diane Digital Undivided, only 4% of female founders who raised capital received equity, 4%. So Arian, what's driving this? And please tell us about the Fearless Fund and what value you bring to supporting Black-owned women startups.
Yes, thank you, Steve. First and foremost, thank you everybody for having us. I'm Arian Simone, general partner and co-founder here at the Fearless Fund. And that is true. All those statistics. There are currently right now 80% white men, or 80% it's white male as far as the VC industry is concerned. So there's just not a lack of diverse investments. There's a lack of diverse investors. So this is why we got into this space. Currently right now, yes, that is the statistic for women, but for Black women, we're at 0.0006% as it pertains to receiving venture funds. In addition to that, there's so many other disparities that you'll definitely see. So there's a lack of access to capital, but we're not on the other side of the table as well too, which is why we play a very big role in helping to move the needle and helping to move that percentage up. With that also being said, with us just having a $20 million fund, we need more people in this space because that's not even gonna move the percentage just that. But we're definitely playing our part in this role as far as investing in Black women. Our thesis is we invest in women of color. We're the first venture fund that is built by us for us. And we're investing in industries from CPG to beauty, tech, food and beverage. So more support in this area is definitely needed in order to drive those percentages. But at the root of it, the reason why Black women are the most funded, like you said, the most founded. We are the largest starting demographic that's starting businesses, the largest, but we are the least funded. So we understand that there is a serious problem here. This is not a founding issue, it is a funding issue, and we are all doing our part to play in the role of solution.
Arian, that 006 number in some environments could be impressive, but in this particular scenario, doesn't sound great. What more could organizations and foundations be doing to help Fearless Fund grow?
I would definitely say partnering and investing and aligning it. Because one thing I can say in our position, we saw all the disparities on paper, like you guys are hearing these statistics, but when you really get into the work of it and have to see this thing day to day, it becomes somewhat disheartening. Because right now, our investment criteria says that you only have to be revenue generating 100,000 ARR, meaning just $100,000 a year annual revenue. But the women we're investing in, they're already in 7 figures. But they've never been backed by a venture capitalist ever. We are the queens of bootstrapping around here in our community. Kimberly Blackwell can even tell you just from her own experience that we are having to prove ourselves over and over. So really, when you bet on a Black woman that's already in a 7-figure mark with her business, she is something for sure that you can bet on because she had to be twice as better just to get to that place. So I would definitely say that if the only color that you are looking at is green, this is definitely worth the investment. So we definitely welcome any additional partners. We are proud to say that Fifth Third Bank and LISC are both institutional investors in the Fearless Fund. And we are definitely looking for more people who are in alignment with this mission and this vision, because if you're not playing a part in the solution, you are a part of the problem.
Look, we could stop right here, but I'm not. But Arian, thank you. That was awesome. So that leads me to Kim. I mean, we have a phenomenal Black-owned business, great CEO, Kimberly Blackwell from the great state of Ohio. Kim, I have this great question for you, and Arian got me so fired up, but this one is about challenges and the constant change of 2020. I've seen all kind of internet memes that say, wake me up when 2020 is over. I want a rain check. Let's do a do-over. But unfortunately, that's what individuals get to say. CEOs and leaders, they have to approach this a little bit differently. So my question to you is as follows. The disruption of COVID and civil unrest has left many business owners with financial and operating uncertainties. And the problems are exacerbated for diverse business owners. Kim, you've been quoted as saying, you have to regularly reinvent your business. What does that mean, and what skills do you need to build, grow, and flex your change muscles in this time?
So first, thank you, Steve. I appreciate you and your time dedicated to today's call. I want to thank the esteemed panel. I want to recognize my bank, Fifth Third Bank. And what I would say to start out, I want to thank the 700 participants here and growing that are in the call or in the discussion today and on the call, because I think your presence alone says that you are on the right track. I'll start out by saying this is the state of Black female-owned small businesses. So I get to talk a little differently today in this conversation. I have been battle-tested, but faith-vested. And but for God, I started my business in a 600 square foot apartment, and it has grown into a multi-million-dollar enterprise. And I say that not to brag or boast, but that is my testimony today. And I hope that it is inspiring to someone who is on the fence right now and wondering, what do I do next? I have survived 9/11. I have survived an economic downturn, and I will survive in a pandemic, and so can others. To answer your question, though, I think we must be over-indexing also in being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so for me, there is power in the pivot. But what we also must do is put purpose and intention in the pivot as well. And so when I think about certain skills, I'll go to a few that, one, we must disrupt and be disruptive in the marketplace. We must look at how we differentiate ourselves by way of our products and services. We must diversify. In pandemic times, you may want to reimagine your business by going into different business channels. And last but not least, we must dial for dollars. And dial for dollars comes in many forms. Dial for dollars can be in the now becoming more traditional means of crowdfunding. It was mentioned earlier, and Connie, I wrote down so many of your nuggets because it spoke to so many by way of my testimony. Black credit matters, okay? But when we cannot get the traditional avenues of support, there are ways in which now we are seeing that friends and family want to be helpful as well. And small dollars add up. So, I know that there are probably quite a few folks in different points in their journey on the call today, some at startup, some at scale. But I think if you look at that whole chain of disruption, diversification, differentiation, and of course that dial, all of those help. I think for me, it's really about as a business and in these times that are somewhat challenging, it's really trying to determine where I fall and find myself within the value chain. What is my matter quotient? Where is it in marketplace that I am looking at? How is it that I am bringing something to my customers and or clients that they need and still need during a pandemic? Some of that is going to be how you communicate those needs in the sense, or how you communicate how you feel those needs. But it is very much you can have all the faith in the world, which I do, but faith without work is dead. And now is the time that we are putting our thoughts, ideas, teams into high drive around the work.
Kim, I got a follow-up question to that. Where could I get a t-shirt made called Black Credit Matters?
Actually, you know what? My agency is our primary channel, but we do have a promotional productions line, and I think I may take that to that team and make a t-shirt out of that myself. I really, because I mean that, and I'll get to it, but, Fifth Third Bank, and I'll say this and I'll stop. When I was in that house by myself, with no team, no independent contractors, I had a bank. And my bank understood my vision. And they began to understand more my business. And I go to my branch, I go inside my branch. Relationships matter. That currency of relationships can lead to access to capital, can lead to relief. When everything happened, my bank called me, by way of PPP. And I would also tell you too, and I'm sure Bina won't feel bad about it, I do have more than one bank, so you want to make sure, where are we looking at Black banks in all of this as well? So, again, it is really about understanding the value of capital and currency, but relationships also do matter.
I love it. I love it. Kim, thank you. I'll get back to you a little bit later. So Bina, I hope you're ready, because our first three panelists, they went to church. So everybody out there in the panelist land, I've heard you. So as Deacon Hall, as they call me in some environments, I have to pass it to our esteemed, head of the church fund here, Miss Bina Elliott, the Chief Enterprise Responsibility Officer for Fifth Third. So Bina, for decades, Fifth Third has stepped up to help at-risk youth, forgotten communities, and most relevant to today's discussion, women-owned and minority-owned businesses. Bina, can you share some of the details surrounding the bank's most recent response to the struggle of communities that are facing with the pandemic and civil unrest?
Absolutely, but before I do that, I do want to just acknowledge the great information that's being shared today and the honesty and authenticity in which is being delivered. I've been taking notes, and really, I probably should have taped this myself, Kim, because I love the power and the pivot, and Arian's absolutely right. To be in a venture capital business and financing the businesses she's financing shows you the power of the woman, but also the opportunity that we're missing. And so it's so important that we're sharing this knowledge. And I've been on a lot of panels and I hear a lot of information, but there's action required after this. So at the end of this panel, we're going to talk about the action steps, because that's just as important as receiving the knowledge is the action. But now I'll go back to your other question, Stephen, because this is such a great panel. And I'll give another disclaimer is I sit on AEO's board. So that energy and enthusiasm you hear from Connie is contagious. And it's one of the best boards I sit on, because the work and the action happens every day. And I go to board meetings and I'm amazed at how much they get done. And so I'm really proud to be partnered with them. But when it came down to the pandemic, so first of all, I'm a mother and a wife. So when we went home to shelter in place, I realized how it affected me. And then I thought about who else it was affecting, whether you are an essential worker or a school teacher, that all of my friends, family, and my community and entrepreneurs, through no fault of our own, were going to be impacted around this pandemic in ways that we could not imagine. Now, I'll be honest, I was pretty naive. I thought 60 days and we'll be back to what we used to call normal. But I did pull my team together to say there are going to be communities and entrepreneurs that need our help because none of us were prepared for this time. And so we got together and my team zeroed in on what I call the 3 R's: relief, recovery, and resiliency. What can we do to provide emergency relief right now for families and small businesses so they can so they could pivot? And then we also thought about what will it take to recover, and then what will we have to do to support long-term resiliency so that businesses can sustain themselves and communities could recover and sustain themselves, and then take the learnings from this challenge to really have new business models. So we immediately put out almost $9 million in additional funding. So we maintained our regular funding and added another $9 million focused on providing emergency relief, food insecurity, for businesses to pivot and provide PPE equipment to essential workers. Then we talked about recovery. What will we need to do to provide recovery, whether it's a PPP loan or additional resources so that you could pivot and provide support and services in this new pandemic? And then resiliency. What do we have to do differently going forward? So if you were a small business that really thrived on that face-to-face and that customer contact, you had to change your business model. And that took long-term investments. We also did one other thing that I think was really critical, and my friends told me that it was really priceless. We changed the timing of our funding. We went from a 2 to 3 month grant process where you would apply and 2 or 3 months later you get your funding. We changed that and really reduced the time from 2 to 3 months to 2 to 3 weeks. Because we knew that emergency meant just that, an emergency. And so what do we have to do around our business model to get the funding out the door so families and communities and businesses could get the help they needed?
That's excellent. That is amazing to do that in a bank because banks are historically slow. So
You're right.
yeah, I'm a recovering banker, so I can say that it's still in the bylaws as a former banker. You can say that. Bina, thank you. Well, I mean, based on that response, the relief, the recovery, and the resiliency, I think it really points to just having a good network. So, I mean, there are a countless number of people on this call, and hopefully a lot of you have invited, people to be a part of this experience. But, beyond just being on a call, listening to others, we all need to be actively engaged in building our network, especially small business owners, whether you're male or female. So Arian, Black women founders have had trouble accessing mentors to kind of get that trust, as Connie said, primarily because they may not have a banker in their network. What are some of the steps that Fearless Fund is doing to, ensure that, women founders improve their networks, not only with, VC funders, but with lenders and with, private equity or whatever. Could you share your experience with that, please?
Yes, I can. You're exactly right. In the Black female community, there are 3 obstacles: lack of access to capital, mentorship, and network. So you are definitely dead on with this. What I can say that we are doing from an educational standpoint, we have our Get Venture Ready program that is getting ready to launch. We've just opened even early enrollment on that. What that is to help women of color business owners pretty much get ready to be able to present to investors. So often, because of the lack of mentorship, that some people do have revenue, some people don't, but there are those who do have the revenue, but their business is not structured in a way that is attractive to investors. So we are taking the time out to make sure that people are equipped with the proper tools to, when you do go to present to a bank or you do go to present to an investor, that it looks very attractive. You're from your corporate governance to your product market fit, to how everything is just set up internally so that you're like, you know what, this looks very attractive to an investor. This looks very attractive to a banker, to where you're fully equipped. So on that end, we do provide educational resources. In addition to that, we do offer mentorship to all of our portfolio companies. We know that that is important. We also offer them a corporate partner as well too. So anybody that we choose to invest in, we make sure that they have a corporate partner for 2 reasons. 1, for mentorship. 2, it's also potential acquisition for them. So it's mutually beneficial to the corporation and to them. And three, we also partner them up with different marketing opportunities. So though we're not a formal incubator or an accelerator, we do understand that we're in a position where Black women and women of color may not get second chances. So we want to make sure that they have enough resources and support on that journey. But to answer the primary question, it's pretty much that we're offering different mentorship opportunities via courses and even our portfolio companies.
That's excellent. I'm glad you're doing that. Anything, Kim, you want to add to that about network? I mean, you have a successful business, and on top of network, is there any other wisdom that you want to share with the people in the discussion today?
For me personally, I do subscribe to the belief that your network can determine your net worth. And, what I've always tried to do is to position myself within different networks, folks that look like me and folks that do not look like me. And I would say that, sometimes it's the folks that do not look like me that have stepped up faster than the folks that look like us. And I say that because we have to get better with lifting as we climb. And so for me, when Connie mentioned the 97%, I also want to talk to the folks who are in the fewer than 5%, but are at scale, as Arian mentioned, that have multi-million-dollar businesses. I personally invest in women-owned businesses. I am also a member of a similar fund called Collab Capital that focuses too on underrepresented groups. So for us to do better, we can't just be dependent on others. We must take care of ourselves, because I also believe that a candle loses none of its light by lighting another.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Connie, I mean, based on what she just said, I'm going to divert from the questions on the sheet. So I don't know if the people figured out I was doing that already. But when you start talking about access to capital, I think it's important for people to know that, whether you're a startup or you're a late stage organization, there are different funding opportunities out there for you. Connie, can you speak about successful businesses that you've encountered, that you've shared stories on the AEO website about, and some of the challenges they had to go through to find access to capital, whether through equity or debt?
Sure. I mean, there are so many stories in terms of how, they're going through all kinds of struggles, but they are finding resources. You mentioned earlier, or someone on the panel mentioned earlier, community development, mission-focused lenders. We have an entire industry of community development lenders called CDFIs, and they are in place in communities to provide capital and other support resources to businesses who can't get capital through traditional organizations. So that's one group. And we hear stories all the time about how even people who don't have their records together, they don't have a business plan together, they are able to actually still go to these organizations that are mostly nonprofit and get the help they need, and actually have someone shepherd them through the process of getting a loan. We're finding that also, you mentioned Black-owned banks, the minority-owned banks. They too are being strengthened so that they can provide more capital to businesses. I think what we find, Steve, is that across the country in different communities, business owners, particularly Black women business owners, are finding the networks and finding access, but oftentimes they are still hesitant or fearful in going to ask for help. And I guess when I hear the stories across our networks all over the country, one of the things that comes across is loosening the fear, by joining some of these nonprofit organizations, by taking some of the first steps to reach out to others who are business owners. Oftentimes, I know this trust barrier that we talk about, it's not just we don't trust the financial institution, or we don't trust someone else to help us, but we have to be willing to share and open up. And what women business owners tell us is that they really are finding that trust when they step out and get help from these nonprofit organizations. You know, I'm all about the data. Let me give you one data point that I think really helps to make this case. AEO surveyed over 100 business owners, and the business owners who received capital from a CDFI as well as other support services grew their revenues 30 times more than those who did not. And so even though there is I won't call it, there's not real consistency across the country, but what we can say is across the country are these independent individual organizations. And so I really urge our participants on this webinar, and I keep seeing all these incredible names of businesses show up in the chat. I really encourage you to just step out there, have trust, and find these organizations in your communities. You can go to AEO's website, you can go to the CDFI.gov, CDFIfund.gov website to find these local players in your community. They are there and they can help you.
You know, I love.
Thanks, Stephen. One of the things that is important also is around the art of collaboration and joint venture. Those should not be foreign words to us. There are times we get an opportunity as entrepreneurs, women-owned businesses, and we can't take that opportunity. We can't bite it big. Our mouth's not big enough. Our business is not big enough to bite that opportunity and take advantage of it. And we have to turn it down. And I'm saying, don't turn it down. Connect and be networked and make sure that you bring other partners with you, because that opportunity, that collective working together will get us a seat at the table and a larger chunk of the opportunity. And so many times we have to say no, or we have to only take a smaller part of the contract because we are not networked, or we don't have the right partnerships that we already decided to work and partners to work with. And so we're missing our fair share. We're missing a chance to bring some more people along. And so I love what Kim said around the fact that she not only operates her business and hires people, but she connects and supports other women entrepreneurs and other minority entrepreneurs and other entrepreneurs, period. There is joy and opportunity and collaboration and creating those ventures where you create a separate company to go after a piece of business where you and another business have the skills to get a bigger piece of the opportunity. And I don't see that enough. And I'm encouraging us, when we have the fastest start in so many businesses, but we're relegated to small revenues and lower opportunity, that we should be always looking for those businesses that complement us so that we can go after bigger opportunity, because otherwise we're leaving it on the table for somebody else.
And Vida, that's a really great point. And particularly now when, as Kimberly talked about, this is a time when people are having to pivot. And it's a good opportunity if you're pivoting right now to think about how you can move into some of the higher revenue business sectors. One of the issues for your first question, Steve, about why is there such a disparity around revenue, it's many reasons are because Black women tend to start businesses in low revenue producing business sectors. As you're thinking about pivot, think about using collaboration. Think about what are the different ways to pivot to a different type of business sector where you can still bring all of your expertise, but partner with others who have a different expertise to really go after higher revenue producing business opportunities.
I love it. I love it. And I think you all have, nailed it. For the purpose of this great presentation, and I just opened up the chat, so the chat is exciting. I see a number of partners and businesses that I know of So keep chatting up to each other. But we want to, take a few questions for the panel from some of the great participants out there, over 740 of them. Hyacinth, do you want to give us some of the questions, or how would you like us to proceed?
Hey, Steve, while she's figuring that out, can I just add one thing? Because
Sure.
outside of business owners that we may have on the call, there may be folks on here today that are from corporations. And I think that there also has to be a challenge out to them about supply chain inclusion. And there have been many of folks, corporations, that have taken big bets on me. I've competed against the larger advertising agencies and firms, but there was someone who said, let's give PMM a chance. I would challenge folks, as we are also looking at our duties and responsibilities, that there are more folks of courage and conviction around how we diversify and bring more access to contracts and opportunities within the RFP process that could actually help folks to scale. That is what really helped me to scale my agency. And I will say too that, when you overperform, then that word of mouth becomes your greatest advertising card. Because I wasn't really doing a lot by way of outreach, but what was happening was that by proof of performance points and being able to say that we could take someone from low market share to over indexing by way of business impact and bottom line, then folks were coming to us. But it took a few companies to take those bets. Right now, I'm in the process of trying to do a major acquisition. It's going to be multi-million, dollar acquisition. Somebody's going to have to take a big bet on me. Aaron, you mentioned it before. I am, and I do have that record. But again, I know, and I'm confident it's going to happen. But I would say for the folks who are in the chat and participating today, be intentional about that network, because all it takes is one person to really create that opportunity for you that can be game-changing to your business.
Amen. Look, I done said amen more in this webinar than I've said outside of church in years. So Kim, thank you. I don't know if we got time for questions, because I know our panelists is about to go in. They're going to say something else. I'm just throw this out. But
So, Steve, there's a question.
Go ahead, Hyacinth. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
There's a question. Is there a directory where we can identify these various service providers so that we can find and connect with individuals for collaboration and scaling?
Sure. So, I mean, best place to go is at aeoworks.org. Did I say it right, Connie? So that's the first place you should start. Another good website is list.org, LISC.org. So I do represent an African-American-led largest CDFI in the country, just so anybody asks questions.
And then I think there's also NABO, like the National Association of Women Business Owners. That's a big network, or WeBank. So there are a lot of places where you can find and connect and network. So that's really important that, you network locally, you network regionally, you network nationally. And in this world, we can network globally.
We can network globally. And I'll be honest, like one of the questions I saw that came in earlier is, how do I partner? How do I, expand beyond, domestic borders? You can partner with anybody. You don't have to be in the same market, basically, competing on the same blocks or in the same community. You can partner with somebody across the country, agree to have the same name, same marketing profile, and come together as a collaborative and just, learn from each other those best practices. That's how Roto-Rooter was built. So, I mean, if you think about plumbing, those are all independent plumbing companies going under a marketing initiative, right? So, I mean, the person who founded it, they made millions, hundreds of millions of dollars saying we're Roto-Rooter, and none of the plumbers actually work for Roto-Rooter. They're all independent contractors. So there's so much that we can do with collaboration. I think it's great, but it starts with y'all. I mean, y'all are the mothers of some great families, but you're also the founders of some great businesses. You're the sisters and you're the daughters, and the women on this panel and that are participants in today's conversation, you have phenomenal impact. So because of that, you know, Hindsight, we may have time for one question, but I really want to get into talking about what opportunities they have with AEO and LISS based on today's conversation.
Can I just chime in? One other thing that I think is important is around using your network and leading in with your partners and your clients. So one of the things we did in, I think, late 18 and started, and it's been pretty significant, is we stopped using our corporate booth and our visibility at conferences and everything else, and start talking to our partners and saying, how can we showcase you? We don't, nobody wants another trinket and trash from Fifth Third Bank, but I would love to highlight a business owner that we're partnering with and their products and wares, exposure, networking, and even aligning them and putting that stamp of approval on that business owner saying, we use them, we partner with them, you should too, has been tremendous for us. And we just moved ourselves out of the way and started to put in the forefront our business owners that we either bank, buy from, and our suppliers, and it's been tremendous. And we have one that I think even banks with, has used Arian Capital and through the Fearless Fund, Arian's company, and they have gone from, you know, small business to a very significant business with that networking. And I think they just are signing a contract with Walmart. And all we did was expose them. They had the goods, they had the tools, but it's about us doing something different. And so I agree with Kim. We as corporations, because I do represent the corporate side, we have to do what we need to do. We have to be fearless in the room, give people a chance, and be innovative and creative around how we expose the people that we bank with, that we do business with, to others so that they can grow. Love that you bank with us and love that you supply to us, but how much bigger and better can we make you?
I agree. And that's the power of Fifth Third. I've been to a couple of those opportunities where you expanded some small businesses at some of your community meetings. So I just want to thank you and what Fifth Third does. But on behalf of AEO and LISS, I want to roll to the promotion. So Hyacinth, if you could take us there. So we're proud to announce where innovation meets Main Street, boosting Black-owned, women-owned businesses, a partnership between AEO and LISS, powered by Fifth Third Bank. The program will help Black-owned female small businesses impacted by COVID and the civil unrest. Program need: the coronavirus economic relief packages are overlooking millions of micro and small Main Street businesses with fewer than 5 and up to 10 employees that represent 90% of all businesses and 96% of all Black-owned businesses in this country. These small businesses are the heartbeat of our economy, and they contribute to the employment of over 40 million individuals and generate over $4 trillion annually for the U.S. economy. The program will target Black female small business owners in 7 markets: Atlanta, Georgia; Charlotte, North Carolina; Chicago, Illinois; Cincinnati, Ohio; Detroit, Michigan; Nashville, Tennessee; and Orlando, Florida. Businesses can submit online applications to be considered for both the Main Street Rise program, which is a suite of technical assistance products coming up, and be eligible for an opportunity to receive a $10,000 grant. There's a limited number of grants, so 63 grants in all, and those are 9 per markets that were listed below. At this particular point, Brian, if you could tell us real quick, just kind of sum up Fifth Third, and then Connie, and then I'll tell you LISS's role.
So for us as a financial institution and as a Black woman, we realized that there was a bigger opportunity to provide resources to a demographic that we are passionate about. And so I met with Stephen and Connie and talked about what can we do unapologetically to support Black female women-owned businesses. And this is the solution that we came up with, was to provide some grants and the tools. That Main Street program was outstanding, where it provided all of the technical assistance and resources that you needed to support your business and pivot. As Kim said, there's power in the pivot. And to provide those resources and real dollars in communities. And then the work that they launched around the Fearless Fund, Arian and her business partner, I've been a fangirling over for years saying, how do I get involved? What can we do as Fifth Third? And Stephen said, I work with them at LISC and I will connect you. And so that's how this all happened. Then the power of the network, what'd you say, Kim? Network and net worth. All came about a part of this as we connected. And so we're really excited to announce this $1.2 million initial investment, because I feel like the women on this phone are gonna show up and engage, and then we're gonna identify way more than the initial fund. And I am up for the challenge. So you have my commitment already. When we get done, if there's more resources that are needed, I'm gonna do it.
Well, Bina, we'll talk about the more resources because I'm pretty sure with Connie saying something, she's going to say it. So Connie, I'll give you about a minute. Can you tell us about AEO's role in this particular initiative?
Sure, and it's so awesome to have Bina on my board and being part of this initiative. AEO is the leading voice of micro business and innovation. We are using all of our resources to really put behind support of Black-owned businesses, and in this case, particularly Black women-owned businesses. Similar remark that Bina made that I want to make sure people heard. You know, Fifth Third Bank ain't a Black bank. AEO is not a Black organization. It's no way AEO is, I'm going to be head of an organization that's not looking out, in particular, the unique issues that Black people face, Black business owners face. Our work is to create economic opportunities for underserved entrepreneurs. And we have programs and services for all entrepreneurs who are underserved by this current market. But in this particular program, we have Main Street Rise, where we have brought the power of our partners to bear to provide free services to business owners across the country. If you have 10 employees or less, which is where we are trying to prioritize, you'll see on the slide in front of you, we have partners like GoDaddy and FanBank and Bench and others. Part of what they are bringing is to make sure you have an online presence, any and everything you need to get online, to have an e-commerce, to have a real digital presence, you can access for free there. If you need accounting and bookkeeping services, we talked about access to capital, you have to have your books in order. And we know we don't always have that ready. So we're providing that through Bench. We know the importance of having a mentor or a coach. You can get access to free mentor services for over 12 months, free from Micro Mentor. We have programs around savings and helping you save. If you have employees, helping your employees set up savings programs. These are just some among our partners, and there are others coming on every week. And so we encourage you to access these programs through Main Street Rise. Everybody thinks they need and want capital, and we know you do, but we also know these other supportive services are just as critical in making sure that you're ready for the capital and helping you to use that capital in the smartest way to grow and stabilize right now your business. So we're proud to partner Main Street Rise with the grant program along with Fifth Third Bank.
Connie, that's fantastic. So the program guidelines will be available for everyone very shortly, but I want to tell you about LISC's role in this particular initiative. I had the luxury of bringing together the partners that are on the call today. Fortunately, unfortunately, I've known Bina and Connie for a long time in different capacities. So I'm not on the AEO board, and I'm not an AEO member. These are people who are part of my greater network. And LISC, as the nation's largest community development financial institution, we have the biggest balance sheet. We primarily do housing-related investing. So we invest in affordable housing all over the country. We have about $23 billion in assets outstanding on affordable housing ventures. But a growing part of LISC's business now is investing in small and diverse-owned businesses and entrepreneurs. So that part of the portfolio is growing. It's probably at this particular junction is about 144 million and constantly growing. and we invest in people of color. We invest in women-owned businesses and disabled and people who define their orientation, either LGBTQIA. So we're excited to, bring these partners together, but more importantly, when we started coming up with what structure was most important, I said, Bina, we really need to have a focus on those great micro businesses, the people who represent 96% of the small business population, always need help. We need to do everything that we can. But there's also a part of our population where we need to invest in people who create wealth and create jobs for others. So the decision was made to invest into the Fearless Fund. List match the Fifth Third investment, and we invested $750,000 in this first round, and we'll look to do a little bit more in the coming months, but we're really excited for that. As far as the grant pool, based on a grant from Fifth Third, we're doing over $600,000 in grants, so we're investing in AEO as well. So we're really, really excited to be a part of today's panel. But more importantly, for emerging funds and CDFIs out there that need capital, we want to help you grow. We want to provide you the technical assistance and the capacity building to get those initiatives off the ground or to attract other funders to your organization. So feel free to reach out to Liz. You can find me on LinkedIn, or you can go to our website and you can give me an email. But either way, for the entrepreneurs that are on the call, go to this website, AEO. Whatever that long thing is, it's available on the AEO website. Click apply, log in. You have to apply by September 23rd, so that's next Wednesday. So you got a week to apply. And then after that, we'll go through a selection criteria process to identify, who are eligible for the Main Street Rise program initiatives and who are eligible for the grants. We're very, very excited to present to you today. There was a number of questions, a number of great comments in the chat that we weren't able to respond to, but on behalf of Fifth Third, AEO, and List, I just want to say thank you. We are so excited about you and your business, and I just want to congratulate you for being resilient in these times. So remember, Black credit matters. Thanks, everyone.
And I know Hyacinth, we're gonna stay on for about 15 minutes, right? And give people advice around how to apply, even Hyacinth.
I don't know.
Yes, this is so this is correct. So thank you, Bina. So in your chat feature, I've put the link in there so that everyone can click on that link where you'll learn all information about the program.
As we close out, I just would like to say what a privilege it is to be working with Steve. And Steve, my thoughts and congratulations also to you and Maurice. This is powerful. It's like the giants, the big giant coming down to bring little AEO. It's such an awesome partnership. So very pleased to be a part of it.
Thank you.
Hey, I just wanted to close out too with just a few things. So Bina gonna get mad at me, but that's okay. She mentioned unapologetically doing some things. Bina is a boss. Now mind you, I wrote all this down. Bina is a boss. She is our sister's keeper. And I mean that, and I mean that sincerely. You can hear that by what you're hearing in the partnerships with Liz, with the Fearless Fund, her role and involvement around AEO. So thank you, Bina. I knew, Arian, you know how I feel about you and the work that you are doing to make sure that we are pouring and lifting other female founders, Black female founders. So thank you for that, Steve. Proud of you, bruh. You did a good job representing FAMU. Thank you. Connie, you know, we're gonna fast track a friendship because I really do appreciate your service and work in this area. And to the folks who have remained on the line, I just wrote down a few things. Seize your superpowers, find your big bet, build your tribe and your team, surround yourself with people smarter than you, Write the vision, build the plan backwards, and it's success for you on rewind. And lastly, you know, we started this with some grim statistics, but we said coming into this discussion, we wanted to keep it very positive. So what I would tell you is that we are not a people of stats. Math has no opinion. Don't be discouraged by the numbers, because faith has no limits and you can do this.
Oh,
Amen.
thank you, Kim. That was all we needed to hear. Thank you.
I look forward to it, Kim.
I have to let her in the Wakanda tribe, y'all. We gonna get in.
Yes.
Forever.
Absolutely.
So thank you all for joining. Again, the link to learn more about the program is in the chat feature. And there you'll find frequently asked questions, as well as an email for you to ask any questions regarding the program. We thank you so much for joining us today. We know that your time is valuable and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Congratulations.
Bye.
Thanks. Great job. Thanks a lot.
Again, everyone, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vina, very, very much.
Thank you. It was great. Next time I'm just going to be an audience member because you guys are outstanding.
No, we
No,
need
everybody
No,
wants
thank you for having us, and thank
all
you
the
for
chats. Everybody
facilitating.
wants you. You got to be here.
All right. Take care, ladies.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.